the essential oils for. So these are my tips for today, and I hope you're able to put these things together so that you all can have a very mutual and loving relationship where your pet is really happy and you are happy, because their health makes a difference in our life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so, so much. I mean, it's wonderful what you tell us about the pets every day. I really acknowledge your presence. Let's go to the next speaker of the day is Dr. Kumar. He will be talking to us about a topic which is kind of a taboo topic, talking about sex and worse, talking about sexual addiction. That's not something we Indians talk about so easily, do we? And I think it's across the globe that people kind of feel a little shy about talking about, the sexual issues that they may have. So right now we're really looking at a issue which could really help you to move ahead in life. So I have deep gratitude for Dr. Kumar. He is a friend. We belong to the same club, that is Venus Club. And in fact, I would love a few of you to be part of the Venus Club. And really, it's one of the very, very good educational places where we are all enrolled together. So over to Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar, are you there? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Anu, and all friends whosoever has joined. Am I audible, Dr. Anu?
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Fantastic. So actually, couple of weeks before, I got an opportunity to speak on this topic because one of my friend from Delhi, he said, because of lot of stigmas attached with in the our society, nobody is very open to speak about it. So I said, "Main karunga, I'll do." So that is what I conducted one session. It was really super fantastic. So I think Dr. Anu just spoken to me the next day, and so I'm before you. So speaking, talking about sex. Let us understand a brief about sex. The word can evoke a kaleidoscope of emotions. There's a lot of emotions, from love, excitement, tendencies to longing, anxiety, disappointment. The reactions are varied as sexual experience themselves. So, what is more, many people will encounter all these emotions and many other in the course of a sex life spanning several decades. So, but what is sex really? On one level, sex is another hormone driven bodily function designed to perpetuate the species. Of course, the narrow view underestimates the complexity of the human sexual response. In addition to the biochemical forces at work, your experiences and expectations, this help shape your sexuality. So your understanding of yourself as a sexual being, your thought about what constitutes is it is satisfying a sexual connection, and your relationship with a partner are really very important factors in your ability to develop and maintain a fulfilling sex life. Communicating with your partners, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, availing yourself or some of many excellent self-help materials on the market, and just having fun can help you with the tough times. So I just would come to now, come to the. If you, Anu, can you just allow me to share my screen?
I've already actually given you the permission.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Is it happening easily? Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is. I can see it beginning. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So this is about sex addiction and about me. I already have spoken about. You can take the screenshot. You can ask me. You can connect me with this number. So this is brief overview of sex addiction. Yeah, correct. So what is sex? What is sex addiction? So if we talk about sex addiction, it's an excessive preoccupation with sexual fantasies, urges, on behaviors that is difficult to control, causes one distress, or negatively affect any someone's health, job, relationship, or other parts of life. Sex addiction or compulsive sexual behavior, it may involve a variety of commonly enjoyable sexual experiences. Example like masturbation, cyber sex, multiple sexual partners, or use of pornography or paying for sex. When these sexual behaviors become a major focus in one's life and are difficult to control and are disruptive or harmful to one or other, they may be considered as addiction. In modern pop songs, young people still sing about their crushes, unanswered loves, and romantic breakups, about feeling awkward, unsure, unsure in despair, overwhelmed, inspired. Although these days the sexual imagery is much more obvious, and it can appear that the tender feeling of love towards opposite sex are at odds with today's lifestyle. So now I just will focus more on the adolescent at this point of time, where adolescents, they become a time of, they have certain different aspects nowadays. In the most of the this lockdown time, most of the parents, they have given access to their children about the internet, with smartphone, with internet. But some of the cases which has come to me, the parents are so frustrated, and I felt that at least this should be one of the topics, because their frustration was, they never thought that adolescent children, at the age of 13, 14 years, will be so much, indulged in kind of pornography kind of thing in the mobile. So I felt, sad, and then I just, had some of the counseling also with these children, and finally I also, spoke to their parents. So if we talk about adolescents, they have different, the becomes a time of diminished prefrontal, cortical control, with the heightened possibility of risk taking and poor judgmental decisions, especially in environments described as reward sensitive, because this is a kind of activities they are into. So where the temptation of immediate feel good experience they feel, and it is very high in that stage, such as in romantic and such sexual situations. And hormonal changes triggered by brain and body developments are strongly implicated in the intense feeling of sexual attraction and falling in love. Testosterone and estrogen, male and female sex hormones, are associated with heightened sexual urges, while the hormones oxytocin and vasopressin are implicated in attachment and bonding. During puberty, the volume of these circulating sex hormones in the body rises dramatically. In girls, the ovaries increase their production of estrogen sixfold, and in boys, the test is produced 20 times the amount of testosterone. So both sex have male and female hormones circulating in the bloodstream, but during adolescent, a boy's testosterone level becomes 20 to 60% higher than that of a girl, while her estrogen level becomes 20 to 30% higher than this. So these hormones have strong effect and on mood and libido, that is sexual urge. Young people are hormonally primed toward being sexually attached to others, but especially in early adolescent, they are not used to the feeling associated with the rapid increases and fluctuations in their hormone levels. So high concentration of certain hormones for one's age or rapid fluctuation of hormone levels may trigger more negative moods and greater mood variability. So emotions associated with being in love or in lust are likely to be confused and confusing, even overwhelming for some. It's not only the sex hormones that are involved in falling in love. One research article used brain imaging to show that when a person falls in love, so 12 areas of brain work in tandem to release euphoria-inducing chemical such as dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin, and adrenaline is a stress hormone causing sweating, heart palpitation, and dry mouth. Just catching a glimpse of a new love can trigger these bodily sensations. And dopamine stimulates desire and pleasurable feelings and has been described as a feel-good hormone with similar effects to the drug, cocaine. So another researcher found heightened level of dopamine in the brains of couples newly in love. Their findings that these love levels are similarly heightened in the two groups led these researchers to conclude that serotonin level is associated with those constant thoughts about the loved one that are part of being loved struck. Okay, so no matter what is called the exact nature of behavior, untreated such sexual behavior can damage self-esteem, relationship, career, health of one and other people. But with treatment and self-help, one can learn to manage sex addiction. Coming to next slide. As you can just read through this, slide, the trend to be in relationship is now becoming an image liability among young peer groups, and the feel irresistible pressure to conform to what their to conform to what their friends are doing. So I'll just give you some example also. There are certain cases with me. So there was a case about a 13-year-old girl who was in and out of relationship, right? Yes, even at the age, which is unbelievable. The child herself was not happy being in this relationship, but felt compelled to do so because she wanted to be accepted as the hottest girl in the friend circle. Because this is one of the criteria for among, in the upcoming, children, adolescents. So, and the numerous relationship that she has got into was just to prove that point because she wanted to prove herself hottest. So another case about a 14-year-old boy who felt very inferior because his classmate would, constantly jab him for not having a girlfriend. So when friends discuss sex as great fun, the peers began to feel the pressure within and relate it directly with self-image and self-esteem. So this shows peer pressure and our media may have desensitized people towards sexual relationships. Sex of morality, preparedness varies with different people, but impressions as a young age can impact an individual's whole life, right? I openly blame the narrow mindset that stops parents from talking about sex with their children. This is what really is very pathetic side of our, this situation where most of the parents are not very comfortable speaking about, sexual things. So, with curiosity in first land, such issues need definitely be addressed. What parents need to understand is that sex education is very important and attitude must change. That's what I feel. Sorry. Most people enjoy sex and seek it out from time to time. In sex addiction, however, this enjoyment, becomes an obsession. An individual's thoughts can be consumed by intense sexual fantasies. They may be consistently prioritizing sex over family, friends, and work. Over time, an individual may need to engage in increasing amount of sex or more, usual forms of sexual gratification in order to get the same high as before. So let me explain you some of the addictions, sex addictions. Common signs of sex addictions are prolonged period of sexual activity with multiple partners, compulsive, pornography. They cannot control on their compulsion. They always keep on watching that. Excessive masturbation, sometimes to the point of physical injury, excessive cyber sex or sexting, prostitution or use of prostitutes, multiple acts of marital infidelity, frequent unsafe sex, exhibitionism, and voyeurism. That is watching someone nude. So these are the sign of sex addictions. So individual with sex addiction can have different perspective on their behavior. And they have different views. Some people may be aware that their sexual compulsions are an issue, yet they feel unable to control it. They might make repeated attempts to reduce their sexual dependency, but fail to make progress. Right? Others may try to rationalize their action. They may deny they have a sex addiction, even when their behavior causes the loss of intimate relationship, family, or friends. The hook of sex addiction, the thing that keeps people coming back for more despite comparable cost, is that it gives people a feeling and gratifying sensation that they're not able to get in other ways. It may block out sensation of pain, uncertainty, depression, or of depressing emotions. It may create powerfully distracting sensation that focus and absorb attention. It may enable a person to forget seemingly insurmountable problems. It may provide illusory, temporary feeling of calm, self-worth, accomplishment, of power or control, or intimacy or belonging. So for parents, while they are growing up, this has been with almost all of we people. We always have come to know about. We have gone through that phase of life. While growing up, they never discuss sex with parents, right? When anyone asked them what the condom or sanitary pad advertisement on TV was trying to sell, one would get awkward and vague replies about, they used to say it's medicine. So that is what as a child we have learned, right? There's no sex education in school either. There is still is not in most Indian schools. So you ended up listening to half-baked, half-cooked ideas about sex from the senior boys and girls. That was all about sensation and not education. So thankfully, attitudes are changing in part because children are attaining puberty at younger stage. Many parents in India now appreciate that sex education for children is a very good idea, right? So it needs the educator, or to be properly trained before being asked to educate others. Currently, the scope of sex education is limited to basic anatomy and physiology of the reproductive system in most educational curricula. Yeah. So if we talk about sexual experiences, so there are compulsive asexual behavior. This may involve a variety of commonly enjoyable sexual experiences. Examples are masturbation, that I already have covered, cyber sex, multiple sexual partner use of pornography, and so symptoms. Symptoms are some indications that one may be struggling with compulsive sexual behavior include are you have recurrent and intense sexual fantasies, urges, and behaviors that take up a lot of your time and feel as if they are beyond your control. You feel driven to do certain sexual behavior, feel a release of the tension afterward, but also feel guilt or remorse. You have, tried unsuccessfully to reduce or control your sexual fantasies, and you have compulsive sexual behavior as an escape from the problem, from other problems such as loneliness, depression, anxiety, or stress. So you also continue to engage in sexual behavior that have that have serious consequences, such as the chances for getting or giving someone else a sexually transmitted infection, the loss of important relationship, trouble at work, financial strain, or legal problem. So in those situations, when to see a doctor, that is also very important. Seek help if you feel you have lost control over sexual urges, especially if your behavior causes problem for you or other people. And compulsive sexual behavior tends to escalate over time. So get help when you first recognize there may be a problem. As you decide where to seek professional help, ask yourself because these these few questions are very important. Can I manage my sexual impulses? Am I distressed by my sexual behaviors? Is my sexual behavior hurting my relationship, affecting my work, or resulting in negative consequences such as getting arrested? You know, do I try to hide my sexual behavior? So seeking help for compulsive sexual behavior can be difficult because it is such a deeply personal matter. So this is also one should try to set aside any shame or embarrassment and focus on the benefits of getting treatment. Remember that you are not alone. Many people struggle with compulsive sexual behavior. Mental health professionals are trained to be understanding and that discreet, but not all mental health professionals are experienced in treating such kind of addictions. So make sure you find a therapist who is competent in this area. Because some if you are not reaching to right therapist, you may not get proper solution. So keep in mind what you say to a doctor or mental health professional is kept confidential because they maintain certain uh, ethics. They have ethical standard, except in cases where you report that you are going to hurt someone or no, hurt yourself or someone else. You report sexual abuse of a child or you report abuse or neglect of someone in a vulnerable population. So seek immediate treatment if you think you may cause harm with uncontrolled sexual behavior. So you have other problems with impulse control and you feel like your sexual behavior is slipping out of control. So you are suicidal if you are thinking of attempting suicide. So please get in touch with a doctor or you ask for some kind of psychological intervention. So what are the causes of compulsive? Why it happens? As I have shown, it is an imbalance of natural brain chemicals. Although the causes of compulsive sexual behaviors are unclear, it's not very clear, but it may include these 3 points as I've shown in the slide. An imbalance of natural brain chemicals, certain chemicals in our brain, we call it as neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and other such hormones. This help regulate your mood. High levels may be related to compulsive sexual behavior. Second is changes in brain pathways. Compulsive sexual behavior or sex addiction may be it is an addiction over time might cause changes in the brain's neural circuits, especially in reinforcement centers of the brain. Like other addiction, more intensive content and stimulations are typically required over time in order to gain satisfaction or relief. Third is conditions that affect the brain. Certain disease or health problems such as epilepsy and dementia, it may cause damage to parts of the brain that may affect sexual behavior. In addition, treatment of Parkinson's disease with some dopamine agonist medication may cause compulsive sexual behavior. There are certain side effects. And now coming to the next part is sexual addiction cycle. See, I think if you can see this cycle, sex addicted people lose touch to the reality and reach in land of self-deception. The cycle is something like this, as it has been mentioned here. So mental health is an ongoing process of dedication to reality at all costs. People struggling with addictive sexual behavior have lost touch and reality. They are in the land of self-deception. In fact, the sex addiction is such that preoccupation stage, as you have seen in this image, and the ritualization stage actually loosen one's grip on reality. The imagined pleasure of acting out disables rational thinking. That resolves to refrain from acting out because you cannot act out and live up to your full potential suddenly loses its importance. And that hard-earned realization that you hurt others and yourself when you act out just doesn't seem to matter in the heat of the moment. So if people were actually tuned into the reality of the behavior, the undeniable truth, then it becomes much harder to engage in repetitive and destructive behavior. That is why it's important to become familiar with your rationalization, and work hard in tempting situation to be, so to make it possible for the self-deception. So I have noted some of the points here, five points: in a preoccupation state, visualization state, compulsion and acting out, and despair and shame and guilt. So what are these? These five common ways of practicing self-deceptions are denial. We normally, we reject, that is rejecting the meaning of one's action to avoid some painful aspect of reality. And then second is minimization, admitting the reality of situation but denying the seriousness of it. Rationalization, that is a process by which an individual employs plausible but untrue reasons or explanation to justify certain actions or attitudes. Projection, admitting both the reality and seriousness but denying responsibility by blaming somebody or something else. And compartmentalization process where two conflicting ideas or values can coexist by prohibiting the acknowledgement of their inherent contradiction. So, what are the things that you tell yourself, if not consciously, then unconsciously, to maintain your sex addiction? That is very important. We send some messages to our mind, and it should be, if it is relating to sex, it should be very honest and very clear. So now coming to the next slide, we have now have reached to sex addiction and its impact on health, occupation, and family. We start to dance listening tunes of शीला की जवानी. ये जब भी गाना आता है तो हम लोग बहुत जोर से डांस करते हैं, right? With roll eyes when asked about Javani, sexuality. Really, that is somewhere, we always think we should not reply. But Indians, sometimes even the well-read urban people, often tend to attach a whole lot of sensitivity to the topic of sex. Regarding it with the most vicious taboo, it is thus a natural consequences that education and teaches their children about sexual well-being is met with the highest resistance possible from parents, teachers, lawmakers, our neighbors, our peers, even. Let us talk about sex. If we talk about sex, then it will be something which is, something very difficult to digest in the society. So sex suddenly features a lead role, although heavily masked under suggestions. I mean, otherwise, peers who gently egg your good news. And unless you have managed to get your gyan from some helpful, forward-thinking cousin, you may find yourself browsing the internet or skipping right ahead to the deeper pages of Mills and Boons for some self-taught shiksha, right? So that's what we have, have gone through those phases. So addiction, whether it is to drugs or gambling or sex, it changes the brain chemistry. That is why someone who is dependent on the substance or behavior continues to indulge in, even it threatens their way of life. So like any other addiction, sex addiction takes over a patient's thoughts. Often they cannot think of the consequences beyond getting their next height. It must be said that both sex and masturbations are healthy, but addicts take them to an extreme where they become detrimental to the patient's health and happiness. So some of the symptoms are there. Symptoms will not talk about. Yeah, we'll come to the next point. Few tips for enjoying healthy relationship. I think this is what actually is basically important for the married life. And so first is define what you want. To get what you want, it helps to know what you want. And that is as true of love as it is to anything else. Remember, it is about what you want, not about societal expectation. We get further and further away from finding true happiness when we look for the things we think we should go after instead of things that are core to our unique personalities. So start by identifying your needs when it comes to romance and establishing your relationship goals. What do you want to give and what do you want to get out of the partnership? When you have a firm grip on what you want, you can look realistically at your own behavior, where behavior patterns to see if they are helping in or hurting your search for lasting love. and take steps to make changes if necessary. Second is use your loneliness. While chronic loneliness is not at all healthy and can contribute to depression, feeling lonely from time to time is normal. But whether you are in a romantic relationship or not, and feeling emotionally disconnected from people does not have to be a negative. If you have those lonely feelings, if you use those lonely feelings as motivation to take necessary changes in your life, right, that will move your life in more positive direction. Finding an enduring partnership takes efforts. You don't want to settle for a series of casual relationships. What you really want is something long lasting. Start by paying more attention to relationship you already have and recommend reconnecting with the people you have lost touch with over time. Make new connections by joining clubs or special interest groups or volunteering. You never know how you will meet someone new, but you will only meet them if you get yourself out there. That is, balance your love budget. It is a very common problem, in most of the people. They they spend money when they meet with their love partners without understanding how much is required. So in fact, you might make a better impression by displaying more of an inclination to save money, but because it shows you are able to exercise self-control and are likely to accumulate greater financial resources over time. Start talking. In most of the relationship, we find that there's there's gap of communication. So if and how couples communicate, along with individual willingness to change, determines whether or not problem can be resolved and the quality of a relationship maintained. Some problems, especially minor issues, are best resolved with a cooperative and affectionate approach that does not put anyone on the defensive. Serious problems may have to be addressed more directly, but that approach is only helpful when both partners are confident and secure enough in the relationship. So communication is very important part. Now coming to open up about sex, couples typically have different levels of desire for intimacy and sex, and many enjoy different types of sexual activity. And perhaps not surprisingly, one study found that middle-aged, women in same-sex marriage tend to have an easier time communicating their sexual desires and discussing problematic issues with their partners than women in heterosexual marriages. So, along for a healthy amount of openness and ongoing trust in their relationship. The next comes switch things up. Although passion and sexual satisfaction in relationship can start to decline over time, study shows that couples who continue to enjoy passionate, satisfying sex not only communicate their sexual needs and have sex more often, but also incorporate a wider variety of sexual acts into their lovemaking routines. And next is respect personality differences. Very important factor for enjoying healthy relationship. So if there are various kind of people, there some of them are introverts, some of them are extroverts. So if you are an introvert, you are not necessarily be shy, but rather you are reluctant to small talk and don't enjoy mindless activities. You're more careful. You're more careful than most about how you spend your time and who you spend it with, and that is okay. You may be looking to you know fellow introverts for love, but if you find yourself involved with an extrovert, as often happens, recognize and honor your differences and use them to your advantage. That is to help you to try new things rather than argue about them. All successful relations require guidelines, negotiations, and the occasional giving into a partner's different way of doing things. At the same time, a solid relationship develop over time, so be wary of anyone you feel is moving too quickly or too intensely. It may seem flattering, but it can be a warning sign that you are moving in the wrong direction. Okay. So the next is practice positive psychology. That's very important. As per the research, the happiest couples have 5 times as many positive interactions as negative in their relationship. It may not be enough to try to make up for a negative experience with a single positive one, perhaps because the impact of negative behavior is often much stronger and deeper. At every opportunity, show support for your partner, express gratitude, forgive slights, respond enthusiastically, and plan to spend time together in challenging and engaging new ways. These investment in positive thinking and behavior help create more relationship satisfaction and can hold you over when you face inevitable problems, conflicts, and tough times in the future. Coming to next. So I have a final small message to the youth for addiction-free happy sex. As a psychotherapist, my suggestion is to clear the mental blocks of the obsession. Reach out to some professional psychologist or counselor for intervention. Share your issues with them. Find out a great understanding for such cravings. They can help you to find a proper balance through different psychological therapies. It is really very unfortunate that we feel ashamed to visit counselors or therapists, assuming that others will speak about us. Is there any mental problem for which we are going to some psychologist, and many more such questions appear before us? Gone are the days when we used to visit psychologists only for several mental issues. But now, time has come to reach out to psychologists for any kind of abnormal behavior. And addiction is one among the reason for which professional intervention is highly required. As I have suggested some of the important tips for maintaining a better relationship in my previous slide, I should certainly say to find some life goals and dreams. It's very important. And focus on those goals and find a way to achieve these goals. And this would make you completely engaged. And this way, you could easily deviate from the addiction. Life is beautiful and enjoy it at its fullest. So now, this is the end of the session. And thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm ready to answer. And you can also take my number, my mail ID, my Twitter handle, and website. You can take.
Dr. Kumar, I would like to just put in some inputs because when I work as a counselor, of course, along with my fortune telling, it involves a lot of counseling. I get these cases and they're very common. It must be happening in your country also. It's nothing to do with the countries, but it's the mindset. Like at one state, we are talking about child abuse, which is really bad. It's a sad thing about incest, what all happens in the family. But then on the other hand, I know these cases who are from those rich families, like the billionaires. Like for example, you can say like in Bombay, every second person he is a millionaire. Above a million, you're a millionaire. But the big houses, the powerhouses, their children have got the cases when these girls, when now it's not only about harming themselves, but even the social stigma that comes. It can even harm the reputation of the family. When they are at their age of puberty, 13, 14, 15, 16, not even reached up to high school, but they want to have sex compulsively with the household staff, with the help. Many of the matured ones must have heard about it. I can think if Anne knows about it or Anya knows, like you relate to such things. It's the gardener, it's the driver, it's the cook, like a mental problem with them. And that can, if the thing gets leaked out outside, like it can harm the family's status, as well as it is dangerous for the health also. They can get contracted by HIV, STD or something. Isn't this a mental problem too? There's something in the head that makes them go out to these kind of raw, uncut people. It's true, Dr. Kumar, right?
So actually, what is happening? These people are not knowing. These adults and children.
Well, Dr. Kumar, can I request so that we can see your face more clearly? If we can take off this screen sharing so that we can see your face more clearly, because people can only see the screen.
Okay. Should I? Just my things are done, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Stop it.
That would be brilliant. You can always put all your details in the group as well as on the Facebook. I have no problem with that, but would love to see your face. Okay, continue.
It's fine now?
Yes, brilliant. That's much better.
You're saying, see, this is what actually is happening over the years, we are, we are updating our knowledge about sex, but unfortunately, adolescent has got they are more connected with their peer groups. They are not trying to connect with their some experts know about it, and what actually they are getting from this peer. The peer group is only talking the uncooked ideas which has got no real solutions. So they follow what they are doing. So finally, such kind of things are happening. So irrespective of of the whether the person is paisa wala or without paisa wala, right? Everywhere you can see such kind of
Yeah,
situation.
but most of them with their household staff, like they go ahead. And secondly, on the rise is the cougar effect. Older
Yeah,
women just want the lust for the younger guys. It's only lust. Okay, there's no
yeah,
love. There's nothing of that sort. It is that mindset that the guy should be at least 10, 12, 14, 20 years younger. Like it could be their son's friend or their friend's son. It's a very common phenomenon. You know what's happening in our big city, at least. I've been observing it for the last at least 15, 16 years, like the cougar effect. That's on the rise now.
it's very sad
It's a common thing
sight.
now, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there again is the unfortunately there is no such group. Actually, what we are thinking, why not to form a group, where actually we can impart small training. It's not about sex education. It's about creating an awareness among the students.
Awareness.
But unfortunately, psychologists, they are busy with their job and they're not looking into this is a very small thing where I think the reward is very not that much. But we are, of course, now planning, because my friend from Delhi, he's working on addictions only, right? Out of passion. That's a voluntary thing he's working on without asking any money. He's doing a lot of works on the addiction. So I feel that we also need to get associated with each other, finding time to understand to make a group, to create awareness and make do some kind of campaign, because everybody is in dire need of it. We need to identify their challenges. We need to make them understand, yes, it is possible. That do not trust unprofessional people. Do not trust your people who are not knowing what actually that's all about, right? That is what is happening. So my suggestion to why not to join hands together to form a group of experts and then can work on it. Wonderful. Good idea.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank
Thank you so much.
All right.
Anybody else with any question before we go to the next speaker? That was wonderful. Doctor, if you can wait, because we'll have Priyanka Patel speak and maybe people will have questions right at the end and they can then put it in the chat and we could take the questions together. I just want everybody to understand that this is a topic which is not discussed very easily. Sex education. And this is like sex addiction, okay? So when these kind of topics are not ever discussed, ever spoken about, and when people dare to even speak about it, they're very misunderstood, miscommunicated. And we need a lot more time to be touch basing with these kind of topics than the amount of time that we have today. I would really say that it's a great idea to connect together with the efforts to kind of educate our society, so that the more we educate the people around this area, the easier it will be to sort the stuff out and take off the tablet. So over to the next speaker of the day. And the next speaker of the day is doing something really interesting. And she's going to be telling us how the voice. So this is Priyanka Patel. Over to you, Priyanka. So Priyanka is a good friend. I've known her now for many, many years. And I mean, she's coming on this forum for the second time. And she's just very good with her work. Priyanka?
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me, Anu?
Your voice is all over the place. Your voice is all over the place.
Can you hear me now? Pause it. 1 second.
Okay, take 2 minutes. I'm going to put on a song for everybody till she's coming. This is a friend of mine Priyanka, the voice is not okay. You'll have to redo the voice before you.
Anu,
Is it better now?
no,
Till-
Anu,
Yes.
may I suggest a song? I
Uh,
would,
it's, a
I
song, it's a song which is sung by one of the speakers, Archana Bhandarkar, and then we will take to the song we'll suggest. Is that okay, Anya?
no.
She sung for us, especially the song for this show.
Okay.
So we'll and then we'll come back to the song that we suggest. Is that okay?
Yes, because I have to leave in half an hour
Okay.
for another session.
Yes.
I would like to also sing a song.
Okay. Done. Priyanka, still not okay.
Your voice.
No, we can't hear you at. We can't hear you at all. This is my friend Archana Bhandarkar, who's singing for this show right now.